truthfully, I can find something empowering in any religion. And I think with spirituality, one of the main aspects that really that I find myself gravitating towards is the concept of how God or the universe or the all-knowing being is inside you just as much as it is outside of you. And I think
Mhm.
spirituality really makes that distinction very clear to me. It's that this divine energy is just as much inside of me as it is outside of me. And I don't really feel that connection with any religion as much as I do with through my own spiritual practices. So that's just what works for me. But I still learn a lot from other religions so that I can strengthen my connection to all that there is and expand consciousness.
Yeah, wow. I feel like we're quite similar in that. I think there's
Yeah,
a lot of truth in each religion. Each religion has their own truth. And
right,
there's like, I think once you get into spirituality, you start to realize that there's a lot of parallels between the religions,
right.
kind of like they say the same theme differently.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I mean, it's like the way that they're written in their books and written by their teachers, it's definitely pretty different. But it's like when you look at some of the core beliefs, I think, like how, I mean, a lot of them kind of talk about how we're all one. And it's all about like believing in something bigger, having faith, and being like a good person overall. So yeah, and gosh, guys, like Anshul, I could hear her talk for so long. She is so insightful. Like, you got to tell me about all the books you've read and like where you've gotten a lot of your information and what you've learned.
honestly, I think you yourself too, Joanna, deserve to give yourself some credit. Like, I think one of the things that you do best that I think is very unique to you is just how you kind of look at mainstream spirituality from a more observer perspective and really emphasize the idea of taking in what resonates and leaving the rest. And also, you don't see spirituality as this think positive and it's gonna
Mhm.
all be, you also do embrace the more uncomfortable aspects of healing because again you have to feel things to truly heal it, and you try to make it easier for people to embrace that part of themselves. And I really love that about your content. I think that is something that you take so much time to emphasize, and you really make people feel less alone in their feelings of hopelessness and anger and resentment. You show them that they can truly live a world past it, but there's also importance in feeling that emotion. You show us that there is value and lessons that we can learn from these emotions that aren't as comfortable, and you show us that our emotions are our best teachers. So you're doing a phenomenal job with that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. I
of
try to be pretty intentional with what I post, and
course.
I think overall I've just been more of an observer in my whole life. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
are you into human design?
I don't know too much about it, but I like know my design and everything. Do tell me more.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I'm a projector. And
Oh,
yeah, for anyone listening, if you don't know about human design, I can't say it's like astrology, but basically it is based on your birthday, your birth time, where you were born, your location. And there are like 4 or 5 different types of categories you can fit into. So for me, I'm a projector, which is like in the lower percentage. It's like maybe
yeah.
10% of people. I'm not sure. But that being a projector is like you kind of take more of an observer role. But
Yeah.
then eventually, like when you're kind of invited to give your opinions on things, that's when you start to like teach about what you've learned. So yeah, just fun fact about me.
That's so cool. Do you know what the most common human design archetype is?
Oh gosh, I feel like I think it's either like manifesting generator
Or
or
manifester?
generator.
Oh, okay.
Manifester. Maybe
Yeah.
one of those three.
What that sounds pretty accurate and
Yeah.
familiar. Yeah.
But yeah, and to what you were saying about like talking about toxic positivity and like going into feeling emotions. I mean, yeah, that's been a huge thing through for me for like throughout my life. Basically because I dealt with depression at a young age and like
Uh-huh.
And like it's been a cyclical thing. Like it comes and goes
Right.
in phases. Like even I'm not gonna lie, even like an hour and a half before this podcast, I was feeling pretty down.
I
Um
feel,
yeah,
yeah.
like it was I'm also very sensitive. So it's like, I don't know if you notice, there's just a lot of intense energies going on.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And especially with the rise of like social media, we get like notifications so much, and we often use that as a distraction from our own feelings. Sometimes, like, there's nothing wrong with binging Netflix and eating popcorn sitting
Mhm.
on your bed, but sometimes we use those practices too much and we end up using mindless activities as a coping mechanism so that we can, find an excuse to not feel our feelings, and it can be a little destructive. And I also think that what you mentioned about your depression and how it spirals, I think that really encompasses what healing is. There's not like,
Mhm.
it's not like an ayahuasca journey where you go
Mhm.
through it once and then you're done forever. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
saying any ayahuasca. I think it's an amazing thing, and I
Yeah.
know it's provided a lot of healing and accelerated that process. But the thing is, no matter how much we accelerate the process, it's okay for things to come up again. That just is a sign that we are capable of healing it so that we can see beyond this emotional state. I think healing is truly a spiral that never ends, and that means that we are always learning, we are always growing, and we are always capable of accessing higher states of consciousness. So I don't really think it's a bad thing or shows anything about our healing journey. I think it just shows us who we can be if we allow ourselves to heal.